Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome everybody to the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis. This is a show where every show reaches beyond the ears of the listeners. And we have an amazing show for you this morning. It's actually volume one of what I call King Conversations, where we're going to get into the mail, and talk about a few things that's expected of us and the things that we need to do, not only as providers and husbands and all the different roles that we take on, but just the male himself, and it's not a race show at all, but we're definitely targeting on the black male as well, and we got a amazing guest here today, my man JD, Mr. James Daniel. We'll allow him to introduce himself in a little bit, but of course we want to start the show off just sending well wishes and prayers to anybody who's been affected directly by the COVID-19 pandemic, the people that we've lost. And just pray that everybody is not getting too excited about jumping out in the world and the city opening up. You got to understand that there's still something very, very, very serious out there, and you don't want that to get into your household. So we just welcome you to the show. So my man, JD,
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you being on the show this morning, man. Let the people know who you are, man.
Well, first of all, LeVar, I want to say, man, it's an honor to join your show and come on. And I look forward to conversations like this because I'm JD the barber, as I'm known, but I have a show called JD's Man Cave, which touches on some of the topics that you talk about here on this show. And I love that title, King Conversations, because we need to understand who we are as kings in our households and in our communities. We need to stand up as kings and take that responsibility on with a fervent heart. We need to be mindful of being a king and taking care of our households and our communities. So again, LeVar, I want to thank you, brother, for allowing me to join you in this conversation. And just look forward to the topics that we're going to touch on today. And I hope that it touches the hearts of some of our black men out there, as well as helps some of these youngsters to become who they're supposed to be. So let's go ahead and just dive right in with both feet, as they say, and get soaking wet.
Absolutely, man. And before we do that, just a quick shout out, man. I have so many people that I like to shout out, man, and that are just attached to what I'm doing and the people that are forever supporting me, man. So I'm gonna keep it simple by just saying that I see y'all, I appreciate y'all, and just keep doing what you're doing. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing. And I had a situation actually this week, JD. I woke up. I want to say it was yesterday, and we all human. We have emotions, and I just woke up in a funk, man. And I was like, what you doing don't matter. It ain't gonna help nobody. It ain't gonna change nothing. What are you doing? Let's do something different. And I immediately recognized that that's just the attack of the enemy. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
For those who have doubted or are doubting or have been through that experience, man, just know that you got to immediately fight that with prayer. You got to immediately stand up and recognize that has no place in anything that you're doing, because if you're giving back and you're helping build up your society, then you just got to know that it's for the good, man. So with that being said, that just leads us right into the King Conversation. And there's a number of things that we can talk about, and it goes from the standpoint of the man and who he is, and the things that we should be doing and recognizing that affect so many other people. And I also like to start with a quote that I've basically just starting to live by every day. It's something that I've always done, but the saying goes that one man's obedience is directly tied to so many others' destiny. And when I think about that, it just speaks volumes, man. So I like to start off with, when you hear that one man's obedience is directly tied to so many others' destiny, what does that speak to you, and what does that bring up in your mind?
Well, to me, I wholeheartedly agree with that, because the thing is, your obedience to what God has planned for your life will directly affect so many others by like what you're doing right now. Me and you getting on this show. We don't know how many young men will hear this, how many older guys will hear these conversations that we're having, and it will directly affect how they govern the rest of their lives, the rest of their destinies, how their kids are treated, how their wives are treated, how their households are taken care of, how their job searches go, how their, it's just so many different things that just the obedience of you and I being on shows like this and getting word out will lead to God's plan being becoming manifest in different lives out there that we have no idea. We'll never meet these guys. We'll never see them. We'll never know them. But simply because we did what God told us to do with this show and shows like this, we will directly affect the rest of their lives. And like I said, that's their destiny. Like I said, it'll touch their kids, their wives, their other family members, and simply because of something they heard on this show. And that came about simply by us being obedient and doing what we're told to do.
Yeah. And I appreciate the acceptance, man. When I thought about it, I when I do my shows, I try to do something meaningful, man. I try to come up with something that's going to touch a lot of people, whether they're into the show at this time or whether they're coming back later, something that they can actually take from it,
Right.
Key. When people can get the information that they need, man, it goes a long way. And like you said, there'll probably be people that we won't even meet that are going to watch the show and going to get information from it. So, that's definitely a big key to it right there. So, talking about us being kings, man, one of the definitions of being a king, and not only a Black king, is that you're highly respected and you're resilient in all your choices, your decisions. That's just one definition. There's a lot of definitions that's out there. But what is it to you? What does it mean? Like that's one of the things I thought about. That's one of the definitions that sticks with me: being resilient and being highly respected. And respect is not fear. It's just respect for what you're doing and respect for your character. What do you view as a good definition or a good verbiage for being recognized as a king?
Well, what I always tell guys is one thing that has always I've always noticed about when they depict kings on television, or I've read in the Bible, about the different kings and things of that, is royalty is majestic. It's majesty. And when you are majestic, you walk in a certain manner. When you feel majestic, you walk and carry yourself in a certain manner. And the thing about it is, when you are a true king, you have to stand and walk in that from the most minute things you do in your life, you should do it with majesty and honor. And it's just a mindset that you have to get yourself into. And that simply comes from you knowing who you belong to, whose you are. And we are kings that are made in the image of one of the greatest kings ever, which is God. God is the ultimate king. There is no king higher than him. So you want to walk in a majestic manner. I always used to tell my nephews when we were growing up, I said, man, stand up straight, hold your shoulders back, stick your chest out, breathe air in your chest, and walk upright and direct. See, the thing about it is, when you walk in a room, if you walk in with majesty, people will respect you automatically without even knowing you. It's just simply the manner in which I used to tell my nephews, quit walking like a victim. You never walk like a victim. You walk like you own the place. Yeah. Even if you don't, walk in there like you own it. And that's majesty. Right. That's what a king is. I mean, you can look at in a room full of people and tell who's the king in there. Right. Without anybody saying, hey, that's him right there. You simply tell by the way he's standing, the way he carries himself, the way he's dressed. I tell people all the time, you have to dress for what you want, not what you are. You dress for how you want to be perceived. Absolutely. So people don't understand that certain attire you can't wear. If you're trying to look like if you just like job clothing is different from everyday clothing. You don't go to a job interview dressed like you going to the gym. Right. That's not the same stuff. You tell a king by the way he's dressed, his garb, as they call it, his garb is different. Yeah. Even back in the day, kings wore certain colors. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
they were purple was considered royal colors.
mm-hmm.
You know, I mean that was considered a certain colors would signify who the king was. You couldn't wear that color unless you were part of the majestic family, the Majesty's family. And that's just simple, you know, that's just simply how we need to learn our history. That way we'll know what how we're supposed to stand upright and as kings.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So let's get into some real life stuff, because we'll have the folks that are it's the king and this, that, and the other, but we all human, right? So
Right, amen.
you do a little bit of this as well. You navigate your own show, and you lead the way. So I want to, by you being my guest, I'd like for you to start us off with some real life, whatever that may be, that we may recognize, or just whatever one of the topics is. I know you posted a few things this week. You be throwing out some good topics this week, but what's one of the things from your heart that you wanted to make sure that we dig into?
Well, what I wanted to talk about was, I was going to bring it up on one of my shows too, but I asked the question. I brought up the statement rather that started a firestorm on my page. Mm-hmm. My wife has had it on her show. My wife does a show called Sisters United, and they're all fall under her My Gospel Soul umbrella. But we brought up a story. I asked, the simple thing was, I said, it was a statement. I said, ladies, women, you need to understand that some men come to restore.
Mm-hmm.
We come as restorers. Now, what I meant by that is, now I'm gonna tell you what happened. Some women said, well, I ain't sitting around waiting on no man to come and save me, and I don't need nobody to restore me, and all. It's just that type of mentality was going on. Now,
give me 1 second. I forgot to say this. I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
People that are chiming in, we're actually looking for your feedback today. So flood the comments with any questions you may have. Of course, we'll pull from those, and we'll try to talk on to them as well. But we want to welcome everybody's comments or even questions that they may have.
Right. Of course, that makes for a better show.
Absolutely.
So right. But no, what I was saying is they were angry because I said that some men come to restore. And I mean, I just thought that was a simple statement that I had in mind at first, but I didn't realize the spark that, sometimes the smallest spark can start a forest fire.
Right.
So that right there started the storm or firestorm of, I ain't sitting around waiting on no man to come and rescue me. And I didn't say rescue, I said restore. First of all, I'm not waiting on no man to make me whole. And I was like, wait a minute, where did that come from? I didn't say I didn't say you had to sit around and wait on a man to make you whole. I was simply saying that we come to restore. And the thing was, I had to sit back, LeVar, and understand that a lot of those comments were coming from a place of brokenness.
Right.
When we get to a certain age and we've been disappointed so many times, and women have been let down so many times, they've been abandoned, they've been abused, they've been, mentally, physically, they've gone through scars that they still wear, and I had to sit back and realize that that's where this was coming from, and not feel like sometimes we will be quick to defend what we say, or we think every time somebody doesn't agree with us, it's a battle. But it's not always a battle about you. Have to understand where somebody is coming from when you're dealing with people. And like I said, that came from a place of brokenness. What I was really shooting at was that a lot of times women, like I said, from brokenness, have encountered men who only want to take things from them. They come in their lives and destroy them or diminish whatever they already have built up. So what I was saying is that you have to be on the lookout for a man who God has sent in your life. That's the key thing. You have to understand that God has ordained this guy to come into your life and restore the things that have been taken away from you, whether it be emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, whatever. He has come to restore and help you along your journey. That's it. That's all I was talking about. And see, the thing is, when you get to a point where you're so broken and so defensive that you're not able to recognize when the person comes in your life like that, you really are stunning your destiny. You're stopping your blessings right where they are. You know, God can't continue to bless your life if He sent somebody there to bless you and you don't allow them in and allow them to help fulfill the blessing that God has for you. Then you are stunning your own blessings. So I just wanted women to look at the fact that there are some guys out here who will come into your life and offer you restoration. That was it. That's all I was looking for. But like I said, it was so many, you know, that as you said, that king conversation, that simple statement has so many parameters and dynamics that come into play with that simple statement of a man coming in to restore, or as we offer restoration, open up a floodgate basically. So I mean I just wanted to talk about, that's one of my biggest things right there, is that we need to get back to understanding one another when we're dealing with relationships with men and women. You know, we so many times on the defensive day one. You know, you know, a lot of women, because of the hurt and the pain that they've gone through, they enter into new relationships and meeting new people with their defense systems up on full blast.
Yeah.
You know, they everything with them day one is DEFCON 5. You know, they had DEFCON 5 day one. When you don't have to put up your guards like that with most people. I mean, there are some guys out there who are heinous and looking to destroy, but you have to, you know, have discernment and the spirit of discernment upon you when you're dealing with relationships.
Yeah,
you know,
that's where that discernment kicks in, and that goes, and it's a lot of, you know, there's going to be opinions all across the board going every different way with this topic, but the underlying things that need to be understood is you got to be in tune with yourself on the man's side.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I agree.
Right. With God, your discernment has to be part of it, but everything is a journey. So with that being said, and understanding that you got to have that discernment, that's where you got to be confident in yourself. And the women, really on both sides, you have to be accepting of the support and of the restoration and the restoring that a man could offer. And of course, this conversation, for anybody who's just tuned in, we're speaking from the man perspective. So it's not a bash on the women or anything like that. It's just offering as men where we stand as men. So we got to let that be known, because, you know, somebody come in and they be like, man, he woman bashing. No, it's not that at all. We want to make sure that it's understood that men can come into a situation knowing that they probably can't even go far with the relationship, but they understand their purpose is to offer restoration. That's kind of what you were speaking from. And I can understand that, man. And it just went those different directions that we were talking about. But talk about that man, because you mentioned it, that man that comes in to destroy. You know, we want to speak to the brothers and help them understand that you can't do that. And a lot of fellas, because I know some, you know, and I've been in that situation to where you don't even realize what you're doing. You don't realize
right.
You're gonna have on somebody years down the line, you know. And we have to do better to be intentional and be mindful of the things that we're doing, the things that we're saying, and just the practices that we're bringing into people's lives every day, you know. That plays an important part into it as well.
Well, LeVar, the thing is, we were all somewhat crazy at times, you know, as young men. We didn't have a I like to say we didn't have a direction. We didn't know, you know, we were dealing with things day to day. We had no plan, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the thing is, like you said, when you're out here living a destructive life for yourself, when you step into somebody else's life, you have a tendency to destroy theirs. You know, and we're not mindful of that, but we need to, like you said, the first thing you need to do is recognize who you are and where you are in your state of life. and don't go into someone else's life if your life is not, if you haven't gotten your life together. That's the first thing you need to work on, is get yourself together before you step into a woman's life. Because the thing about it is, I tell our guys all the time, women have a bigger responsibility in our communities than men do, actually, because women are the mothers. Mm-hmm. They're the mothers of our society. They see a man can walk away from a child. A woman, she gonna be mama all the time.
Yeah,
she can't just walk away. Men make babies and take off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's not a good thing. I'm not saying that like that's cool, but I'm just saying we have that option. Mama is always gonna be mama, and regardless, she got to take care of that baby that she brought into this world.
Yeah.
Now she had help bringing that baby into this world, and a lot of times she don't get the help that she deserves or needs from the father that helped her bring that baby in.
Which leads back to that topic, and you keep going, but it leads back this time directly into the other topic that you posted. Were you raised on survival or were you raised on love?
Right. And people,
that just leads us into that one.
Right. And the thing is, when I was talking about that is, let me tell you something about it. The reason I posted that is because I want to see where people are. Because if you understand people and people understand themselves. Now, let me tell you something about the person who was raised on survival. He is a scrapper. He is a fighter. He is a antagonistic type character, because everything to him is a battle. Everything is I gotta. See, he is a selfish type creature by nature, and we have a lot of families and households that are raised on survival in our black community. That's not, and I don't mean to bash that family. I don't mean to undermine what they're doing or how they're raising their kids, but the thing is, this person who is raised on survival would never truly understand someone who is raised on love.
Right.
See, because when you're raised on love, you are a sharing, caring, compassionate type person. You sometimes think of others before you think of yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you are raised on love. You weren't raised on I gotta. You're raised more on we have to. Our family has to. We're raised. Well, a person who's raised on love is like that, and they deal with their siblings, their relationships with women, their relationships with men, relationships with anybody. They deal with it from that type of perspective. See, there's nothing wrong with being a survivor, but you can be a lover and survive as well.
Absolutely.
Because the thing about love is love breeds love.
And that's what I was going to say. Some people have to survive off of love. So
exactly, if you're giving out love, you almost can expect it.
Right.
It's hard for you to hate somebody or go against somebody or try to hurt somebody who's loving on you. It's hard for you. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some just simply evil people out there who will do it, but it's almost anyone with a normal mentality. Let's say it like that. And if somebody's loving on you, it's gonna be hard for you to hate them.
Right.
It's hard for you to do anything that will hurt them. Put it like that.
Right.
But a person with a survival type mentality, they have no problem hurting the next man to get what they want or to feel like they need.
Dog eats dog work.
Exactly.
But look, I'm gonna divert to a question. We got our first question. Ms. Joanne, she said, "What are things that make men afraid to lead? What are things that make men afraid to lead?" And I guess I'll let you answer. I got mine.
Yeah. I
make men afraid to lead.
Well, let me explain something to you, LeVar. I preach on this all the time, and I talk about this all the time. Let me tell you something about black men that I have learned being a barber and sitting. See, let me tell you something. I've dealt with different
psychologists. That's what they don't understand.
Right. Exactly. You when you're being a barber, you are a psychologist, you are a psychiatrist, you are a counselor, You guys come in the barbershop and talk to you and tell you things that they would never tell a best friend. They won't tell their wives. They won't talk in their household because they feel they can come to the barbershop and say it and leave and they never hear it again. You know what I'm saying? That's how you can be when you're a barber, when you have clients.
Right.
Because you hear stuff that you don't go back out and spread it in the streets.
Right.
But the thing is, the reason why men are, what the question she asked is that ever since the beginning of time, let me tell you something, LeVar. The first thing God gave man in the Garden of Eden was responsibility. Now, what I mean by that is God he had created all this, and then he put man there and told him, look, it's your responsibility to take care of the garden.
Take over.
Take over. You are a, you have a dominion over the trees, the birds, the beasts of the forest, all that. You have dominion over. It's your responsibility to have dominion over this and take care of it. That was our first mandate from God, was responsibility. And men have been running from responsibility since the beginning of time, brother. Since the beginning of the damn time. We hate to take on responsibility. There's that fear of failure when you're responsible. But the thing is, if you're responsible for something, you have to embrace it.
Right.
And learn that you have to. See, the thing is, we want to, as men, we want to be lazy at times. But when you're responsible for something and something under your mandate, you can't be lazy with it.
Yeah.
Because my dad used to have a saying, handle your business, don't let your business handle you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I, as a kid, I used to be like, what is he talking about? He said, man, look, handle your business. Don't let your business handle you. Because if your business start handling you, you ain't gonna like how it handle you sometimes.
Yeah.
And when you handle your business, you have a opportunity to make things go the way you want them to go. But when your business start handling you, it might not go the way you want it to go.
Right.
And then you got to deal with something else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we as men, we have to stop. First of all, make a conscious effort and a conscious decision that we're going to stop running from responsibilities. No, and we need to step up, and again, that comes into stepping up and being the king that you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I love that. My wife always said, "You my king."
Right.
But she says that to reinforce the fact that it's in my mind that if somebody's calling you a king, you got to stand up and remain that king. You never want to let that person down.
Man, you hit on something, I'm gonna answer the question first myself too before I get into that. But that's something else. Is planting the seeds is what I call it. But for the question again, the question was, what are the things that make men afraid to lead? And you said, simply put, just the responsibility of it. And just from my own personal story, I take it to it's the lack of what we know. Just being afraid to even take on those responsibilities, feeling like we're not well equipped, whether it be you grew up in a family where the woman led, you got the woman led household, dad's nowhere around, just the lack of situations like this where men can tune in and just hear the nuggets that we're giving them.
Yeah, for some reason. Okay, it's coming back now.
I think it's just something going on. I think we good right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, bro.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it may have just been some internet glitch or something.
Yeah. So for me, it's the lack of having the knowledge and the understanding, and understanding that you can do it, no matter how things may look like they talk about. Right now everybody's on that Michael Jordan thing, so we'll talk about the Michael Jordan story. Where he got cut from the team. But people that are just now getting into his story will never know he got cut from the team. So my point in that is there's going to be failures at every corner, and we just have to understand that we got to step into our kingship. We got to step into the responsibilities that it takes. And when things are not good, you got to act like they're going to be better, which leads to what you just said. Your wife calls you king, and not just for you. Anybody that's in a situation, if you have that support system of somebody speaking those blessings into you, because I tell you what, I was raised in that one woman, that one parent household, and my mom is my everything. Everybody knows that, and she says, and the word says, you got to speak. Looking at that, she just jumped in. Hey, mama, talking about you right now. So you
Yeah,
gotta, you gotta speak things into existence. You know what I'm saying? You
exactly.
gotta create your energy. You gotta create your future. And no matter if you can see it, if it's just a tiny speck in the wall and you looking through the hole in the wall, you gotta understand that you're gonna get there, man. So
Right,
my
right.
answer is that it's just the lack of having that knowledge of how to do things, and that's another reason for my platform, man, is for us to give nuggets and understanding on what we need to do, you know, and
Exactly.
that's my thing to it. But that transition, man, of having somebody calling you a king, do you know how great it would be for just black men alone if no matter what situation y'all are in, for anybody tuning in, if the woman decided to just every day, I'm gonna wake up and call my man a king. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
we got to get that support too. So I like to talk about that. You know, what does the support look like for a man, and what kind of damage does that do to us when we don't have anybody to turn to?
Well, let me just, I'm gonna speak from a personal point, because I think that my story is a hell of a story, LeVar.
Uh-huh.
I I say my story is a hell of a story. I
Absolutely.
I started off. You got to understand something. I went to Hampton University, uh, played college football. You know, full scholarship. Didn't have to pay a dime. Just go there and knock people out their shoes.
Right.
That's all I had to do. So I got involved with a young lady while I was at school. You know, and got her pregnant. You know, my senior year. I brought her. She was younger than me. So I brought her back to Houston with me from Hampton, Virginia. She's originally from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
She's the mother of my one and only son. I have a son that's 26 years old. And she came back to Houston. I had to immediately start working, you know, because I had a baby on the way. Not only that, I brought her back to Houston and promised her father that I would make sure that she finished school. She was a nursing major at
Mm-hmm.
Hampton University. So I
Mm-hmm.
sent her. She didn't even work. When we got back home, I came home, started working, bought a house,
And
put
Hampton,
her.
not just any old school, down. Hampton,
Oh
not just
no,
any
no, no,
school.
not at all. That's let me tell you something. That's the richest black school in the nation.
All
And,
right,
and,
all right.
and they
Speak up
and they
then.
don't have no problem flaunting their money. It's all over the campus. You'll see it all over.
Yeah.
But I come back from Hampton, start working, bought a house, put her in school at Prairie View so she could finish Prairie View Nursing School, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the best
Absolutely.
nursing schools in the United States.
Absolutely.
So she went to school. I was working. I had a job working 80 hours a week,
Mm.
not 2 weeks, 80 hours a week.
A week. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I had to pay for her to go to school. I had to pay for a house. I was paying daycare for my son. I was paying for her new car. You know, I had everything you could think of. I was taking care of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing was, after our relationship didn't work out. A couple of years into our marriage, we start, because I didn't understand what being a husband was, and she didn't understand what being a wife was. We were still
Right.
kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We were kids raising a kid, trying to do grown people stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so our marriage dissolved, and we separated after 2 years, and 5 years I was divorced. Now, fast forward, I went through all of my craziness from the time I got divorced up until 3 years ago. I got married again. I thought I'd never get married again. I ran from the fact of getting married again,
Yeah.
but I ran into a woman who I couldn't throw back. You know what I'm saying? My
Yeah.
wife was one of those fish that you catch, that just such a good catch, you don't throw it back.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't want to throw her back. I don't want to see nobody else with her. So I better go and marry this woman.
Put a ring on it.
Yeah, go and take care of her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just being honest. And I sit and talk to her son. She has a 25-year-old son too. And I sit and talk to him. He know my story. You know, me and him sat and talked, and I told him my story. I told him, I said, man, let me tell you something. 2 weeks after I met your mama, I knew I was gonna marry her. He looked at me like, what? He said, man, how in the world? He said, man, you was divorced 20-something years. I said, I know. I say, but 2 weeks after I met your mother, I knew she was my wife.
Yeah.
And I was gonna marry that woman. And he
Yes,
was like, well,
sir.
how you know that? I say, I don't know how I knew. I just knew. I just knew I wasn't going to give her back and nobody else was going to ever get her again.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what I told my wife, LeVar, when we first met, that I think might have changed the complete way she looked at me. Because we was just out on a, little casual date, just talking and chopping it up, as the youngsters say. We just chopping it up, me and her, on a little date. And I told her, I say, look here. Only thing I'm coming in your life to do is make things easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at me like, what? I said, I'm just here to make your life easier. And she looked at me and she told me, LeVar, she said, ain't no man ever told me that in my life.
Right.
What she said, yeah, all the men I've ever dated or had kids with, whatever. No man has ever said to me, I'm here to make your life easier. And I wasn't just telling her that, LeVar, I was promising her that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the way I said it, she knew it was a promise. You know what I'm saying? I didn't just say it. It was like I'm saying it like a promise. There's a way you say things. And let me tell you something. She adhered to that. Let me tell you something. She don't have no problem holding my feet to the fire, bro.
Already.
But the thing about it is, when you do that, and you're a grown man about your situation, you do what you say. My dad always taught me, as a man, you do what you say and say what you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Don't half step it. Don't let your word be your bond, as people say. Because a lot of times that's all people got to go by, is what your word was. That's why I try to, and people look at you different when you do what you say, because so much of the world don't do what don't do what they say. You know what I'm saying? They'll say they're gonna do something and don't do it, don't follow through with it.
Right.
And I tell men all the time on my show, my mantra is this, LeVar. Every day as a black man, you got to get up and put your grown man on. Just like you put your shirt on, your underwear on, your socks, your clothing, your outfit, you have to put your grown man on every day that you get up, bro. There's no days off on being a grown man.
Yeah.
Especially a grown black man. But you're gonna run into things out there every day that you got to prove that you grown.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna run into situations every day.
Yep.
Every day. There's not a day go by that you crack that door seal and leave out there. You're not gonna have to prove that you're a grown man out there, brother.
Yeah.
And your life is governed off of the decisions and the actions that you take as a grown man. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that's my mantra on my show, is you got to put your grown man on every day. And once we as black men understand that and start living by that, our communities will be so much better. Because the thing about being a grown man, the first thing you do is take responsibility.
Right.
You take responsibility for yourself, first of all. That's the first thing we need to take responsibility for. Quit blaming other people and circumstances for the things, the mess you got going on in your life.
Right.
Clean that up first. Take the responsibility for yourself first. We need to govern our bodies better, our mentalities better, our tongues better. When we're talking to our families, our wives, our kids, our friends, we need to talk better to each other. We need to govern how we manage our lifestyles first.
Yep.
And our own personal lifestyle. Then let's start managing and taking responsibility for our households. Then after that, let's start taking responsibility for our communities. If you see something in your neighborhood that ain't going right, stop it.
Right.
It used to be a time, man, when the older guys in the community, you better not. I grew up on Herschelwood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? South Park, Texas. And probably people know the Herschelwood Hardheads and all that. I remember when the Herschelwood Hardheads was riding big wheels, brother.
Yeah.
Up and down the street. Yeah, I remember them as little bitty boys.
Shout out to my man Kiki. Don Key.
Exactly.
That's my guy.
Exactly. That's my partner. I know. I've been knowing Keith since he was a baby boy.
Yeah.
Archie Lee is my nephew's daddy. Yeah. My oldest nephew's daddy. So I've been knowing them kids since they was 11 and 12 years old. Him and my sister started dating each other when they was 12 and 13 years old.
Right.
So I've been knowing them cats. But back then on Herschelwood, it was just a culture where you knew what you could do and what you couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? Because the men on the block will walk outside and say, hey, boy, stop doing that. Leave that alone. Don't bother that. Don't do this or whatever. And we respected that. You know what I'm saying? As kids, we respected that. Not only did we respect it, we expected it. You know what I'm saying? We would be doing something wrong and be looking around.
And see, that's the thing, man. People don't believe, people, you know, the world is going to be what you expect it to be, you know, and that goes back to, we got to create our own reality, creating your own energy. You know, everybody's into science and all that stuff these days. And people recognize you create your own energy. Well, it's the same thing. Like you said, y'all expected that. And so you always doing something, looking over your shoulder because you're expecting something. You know, like you got my mom riled up. She say, exactly. Say what you mean and mean what you say. But another thing is integrity. You know, that's what she taught me.
Right. And that's exactly
on your integrity. And so my point in saying that is that once you believe something and you wholeheartedly believe it, can't nobody change your mind about it. And you're going to create what you want it to be and what you want it to look like. And so, you know, if we buy into, I'm going to be what I say I'm going to be, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. Again, even if you can't see it, that's what's going to happen, you know, and other people are going to fall in line with you, man. You know, that's just a big thing. You know, people saying they in all these type of different situations. Well, you just got to believe that it's going to be something different. You know, you really got to buy into that.
Let me touch on something that you just brought up, integrity. See, that's another thing that we don't have in our
community
no more. See, integrity, people don't understand that integrity is what you do when ain't nobody watching you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? When ain't nobody, it's in you. It ain't on you. I tell people it's in you, it ain't on you. You know, if it was on you, we can wash it off.
We can change it up, but it is what it is.
We can wash it off if it was just on you, but it need to be in you. And integrity is the first word, the first two letters is in.
Yeah.
Integrity. Yeah. It need to be in you. And the thing is, that is the thing that you do when nobody else is watching. You do it because that's who you are.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You don't do it to front or let somebody else see you do it. You do it because that's what you're supposed to do. Absolutely. That's what you're mandated by God to do. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're supposed, that's the way you're supposed to be treating these people, regardless. Whether I tell people all the time, you are not truly doing God's work or being a Christian until you do something for somebody that you don't expect nothing else from ever again. You don't expect that person to be able to pay you back or to be able to do the same thing for you. You're not doing it because you're looking for something back. You're doing the true Christian thing by doing it because they needed it at that time. And you were there and you were able to provide it. Go ahead and do it. I tell people all the time, I do stuff a lot of times. LeVar, I've done some things. I don't ask nobody for nothing. I don't expect nothing from them. I just do it because I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people all the time, it took me a long time, LeVar, to become a grown man.
Right.
I was grown and I was a man, but I wasn't a grown man. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference. You could be, I tell people a lot of times, there's some grown little boys out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of women encounter them grown little boys. And the thing about a grown little boy, he will mess up your taste buds for a grown man.
Right.
Because the thing is, you've been dealing with grown little boys so long that when a grown man step in, he still tastes like a grown little boy.
Yeah.
And you treat him like a grown little boy, not understanding who he really is.
Right.
You know, that's why I tell women, you have to watch how you handle when you deal with a different man, treat him like a different man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Until he proves to you that he's the same kind of guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If he proved to you that he's that same kind of guy, then you treat him the same way you did the last one. Send him on his way.
Yeah.
But if he proves he's not that same kind of guy, then you got to start treating him different.
Absolutely.
See, the thing about it is where the problem comes in is that a lot of women get into the habit of how they treat men, period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's that all men are this and all men are that mentality. But no, they're not. Because if you treat all men the same way, you're going to end up with all men doing the same thing.
Right.
All of them end up leaving your life.
Becomes a cycle. A cycle.
All of them ending up being the same man over and over again.
Man, look, you know, this is good stuff, man. And you know, you do it too. So my job is I gotta move to the next thing because we're gonna run
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Let's move on.
it's helping somebody on the other end. But what I
Right.
wanted to move into is again our responsibilities. And you talked about something earlier that I definitely want to talk about, which is creating our own lane, creating our own jobs, creating our own incomes, and becoming the employer instead of the employee. You know,
Right.
so and it don't matter on what level it is, man. You know, I saw something about a week ago. It was a group of black men out of Atlanta got a construction company,
Right.
and
Right.
they were in debt, you know. And now, after years of doing the things they were doing, being told no, having small jobs, man, do you know they creating they got contract. He's worth billions. Is my point.
Right.
Now
Right.
they're
Right.
worth
Right.
billions. They went from in debt to being worth billions. And they working on Tyler Perry Studios. They got contracts with him. They building an Olympic. I don't know if it's a practice facility, but they just said an Olympic facility. You know,
Right.
and now this guy who was just a simple construction worker is worth billions, man. You know, so my point is, it don't matter what you choose to do. We just got to choose to do something. You
Right.
know?
Right. Exactly. And the thing about it, LeVar, I think that like I said, I'm a history buff. I studied a lot in you know, of our black culture and where we come from. You have to understand something, that the Bible tells us to be a lender and not a borrower.
Amen.
Now the thing is that being a employer and not an employee, that the employer is the lender, the borrower is the employee.
Mm-hmm.
So in this scenario that we're talking about, so I always am a start supporter of being an entrepreneur. Now in our households, in our black households, we don't teach financial literacy.
Right.
We were taught in our my generation, your generation, LeVar, we were taught back in the day as black people, we were taught go to school, get your education, get your job, work for somebody, get your retirement.
Get your retirement.
You know
They
what I'm saying?
messing over that whole cycle these days.
Right, right. And we bought into that.
Yeah.
And that was working for us for a time. But
Mm-hmm.
when times change, like I said, we need to start teaching our kids financial literacy in the household at an early age. Just like they learn math at school, we need to be teaching them financial literacy, percentages and interest rates and all that different stuff that I'm just gonna say it. White households teach their kids.
Right.
They teach their kids,
Or at least introduce.
yeah, at least introduce. You got lemonade stands in white neighborhoods. Why we don't have that in our neighborhood? Teach our kids to be entrepreneurs, how to invest 50 cents and start your own little company. How to take candy to school and sell it to your peers at school. You know, in your back.
Let me say something on this, because my mom's watching, and I wish my daughter was watching so people can understand. Let me explain what that looks like. So my daughter was about 12 or 13, and this is how you can create a business. And so you know, how you watch your kids and you see what they do and you see what they like. And for me, I was always trying to see what are my kids gonna get into so I can support it. So she used to love to go to the beach with my mom, and she would collect seashells, you know, and just come home with seashells, and always come home with something. And I don't know if it was a real actual conversation, but my mom was like, you know, that baby love them seashells. You know, she could do something with that. But then on the flip side, she's always been into fashion. So I went to the dollar store. I got her string. I got her the little wiring. I got her some paint brushes, and she started decorating the seashells and turned that into a little business. But she didn't really get it at the time. But that's just how simple it is my point.
Right.
You know, we use lemonade stands, and some people like, I don't want to do that. But it's just the smallest things that if you let your mind work, that you can take and create that. And she did it for a little while. And of course, she outgrew it. You know, she didn't want to keep doing it. But it's just an example of you got to pay attention to the kids, you know, and you got to point to them.
But you know what that did, though, LeVar? On that small gesture that you made right there, it gave her what they call an entrepreneurial spirit. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? Because that's what we need to breed in our kids more so than if they end up with a job, that's fine. But at least give them the entrepreneurial spirit at home. Let me tell you what happened with as a young man, me growing up on Hirschwood. My dad was he was a father
Mm-hmm.
all the way till he died. My father was a truck driver. He was over the road truck driver. So he was at home sometimes, and a lot of times he was gone. But one thing about my dad was this: I was the oldest boy, only and oldest boy in the household. So when he was gone, I was taught to be the man of the house.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I had two younger sisters. My sisters could go to my father and just ask him for something. He'd give it to him, no problem. My sisters, well, you going to the skating ring tonight, Dad? I need $10. Da 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 da. Okay, here you go. I go to him and say, Dad, I'm going to the skating ring with the girls. I
Yeah.
need $10. He say, oh yeah, you can get it. As soon as you go out there and finish washing that car,
Yeah.
cut that grass, rake them leaves up, and get that stuff done for your mama that she need done. I had to work for my money. You know what I'm saying? But let me tell you what that did for me. That instilled a entrepreneur. If I can work and get his little money, I can work and get some more money.
Right.
So my thing was I started taking my lawnmower and walking up and down my street with it, cutting yards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? After I get through cutting your grass, I go back to the house and get my bucket and my dishwasher liquid, and I wash your car in your driveway that I done just throw dirt on with my lawnmower. So now it made me another job. So I get me another $10 out you.
Yeah.
By the time the day over with, I'd have made about $20 to $25 at each house on my street.
Yeah.
And as a kid at 12 and 13 years old, when you got $150 in your pocket, you got some money, brother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you might take your $10 or $15 and go to the skating ring and put the $85 in a jar somewhere.
Yeah.
So you can buy you shoes later on. You know what I'm saying? But what that taught me was, hey man, quit sitting on your butt and go do something and make you some money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It built a entrepreneurial spirit in me, and I still use that to this day. At 51 years old, I still look for ways to make money.
Absolutely.
You know, how to hustle.
And I tell my son that. Speaking of that, it's a totally different time these days, and they're so much more advanced mentally than we are. They sit up and play.
Right.
I tell my son, hey, man, if you're gonna sit here and play this game all day, you need to get on there. You need to learn to be a gamer. You need to get some money from it. You need to and you need to be the best at it. Because there's nothing wrong with it. You want to play games, that's cool. I try to embrace where they at. And that's something that we just have to instill to make sure that they understand there's something bigger that you can do with everything. And we drawing down on time, and I hate it, man. But one thing I teach my kids in chess, man. The number one rule I teach them once we actually get into the game. Is that once you find a good move, it's time to find a better move. So basically what that means is you got to use your mind, you got to think about it, you got to process, and you can't just go with the first thing and the first idea. Sit back, reevaluate that idea, and find a better way to do it. And if you can't, since that was a good move, you're gonna be all right. You can still go
right. Move. Exactly. Amen.
Better move, man. So what final thoughts you want to share? Because I'm gonna try to wrap everything up. Because this is King Conversations, man. It go by quick. We really just getting started, but
right.
Man.
Well, the thing I want to say, LeVar, is that we as black men, while we sitting around playing dominoes, drinking beer, and just barbecuing or whatever, we need to start having these type of conversations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? About how we can help each other's household, how we can help our own household, how we can help each other. See, we have gotten away from black unity.
Mm-hmm.
Which we scared of each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We scared to help each other. I don't know if we scared to help each other because one going to outdo the other, but we scared to help each other, not understanding that if I help you and you help me, when we get together, we're stronger together than we ever will be apart.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So we need to get back to a community-based mentality among black men. We need to start taking care of our communities, man. We need to start nurturing and protecting our communities again, because we used to. I mean, back in the day, we watch even on old movies and stuff. We could sit and watch. Let me tell you something about movies. Movies only imitate reality. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It may be a script, but that idea for that script came from something that really happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came from something that really happened. So we have to understand that we need to get back to that mentality of taking care of our communities and nurturing our communities, and quit just playing Johnny Appleseed, dropping kids here, dropping kids there. That's not what we're supposed to do. That is not God's plan. That is not his plan for our life or our community. That's why we live in so much chaos now, because we've gotten so far away from the original plan for our communities and our kingdom.
Absolutely, man.
We need to get back to that. That's the one thing that I do this for, is to try to help us get back to that. That's why these type of shows and the platforms that we utilize doing what we're doing, LeVar, is so important to me. This is so important, brother. You just don't understand. And that's why I'm so thankful. Again, I want to thank you for what you're doing. Absolutely. And for allowing me to have this opportunity to share my thoughts, my wisdom, my what they call it, my the things that I've gone through in life. You know, my experiences. That's what I want to. That was the word I was looking for, the experience. I'm sorry, it got away from me.
No problem.
But the thing is, I just like to share the experiences, and through my experiences, hopefully I can help somebody else to experience something better and find a better way to do whatever it is they want to do in their life. So I just look forward to coming back on here and doing it.
We definitely got to do a part 2. I want to shout out to my coach, man, that's working with me and my son and a few other kids, man. Coach Charles Smith, man. I hope he's still on. Can hear the shout out. What's up? That's a brother, man, that we got to come together, and we got to make our schedules work, and we got to have a sit down. And I know you got a few brothers that you like to have, but I'll close with saying that, man, I hope this helps somebody, you know, and this is what it's all about. These are the things that we've been missing for a long time. Your story is you grew up with your dad. And he made you work for it. My story is I grew up without my dad, and my mom made me work for it. Those are things that we get into. What is the difference? What does that look like? You know,
right.
But, you know, we can create our own future, you know, if we just buy into it. Me and Coach, we got a similar story in some ways, but I just want everybody to be mindful, be intentional, and don't buy into the doubt and the fear that we all go through. We all human. So we got to just accept and embrace what you said, brother, which is our responsibilities, you know. And if you put yourself in a situation, like I have kids in two or three different households, and so you got to accept that, you got to step up, and you got to own that, you know, and you got to be there. And my man Mark Porter, I see you too as well. He said, great show, LeVar. Your guest said a mouthful on responsibility. I love it, because that's me. So I'm working and instilling it in minds. So he spoke some true facts. So we already know we done touched at least one person, man. So
right. That's what it's all about, baby.
Absolutely. And if we get more of our black men, the other big thing is, like you said, you mentioned doing things unselfishly and do things behind the scenes not to be seen, you know. And if we can get our black men to just grab a hold of one person, just one person, you know, it ain't got to be a job. You don't have to turn it into anything. Turn to find you one individual that you can put something into, you know, whether you grew them from a little younger age, whether you grab a hold of a young man that you see going wayward, whether you grab a hold of a young man that you just know that he need help. He just need help. He ain't gonna ask. He ain't asking. You just say, hey, man, I'm here to help you. You know, like you said, you're making your wife life easier. We need to make a lot of our young black men's life a little bit easier, man. But you know, I hate it, man. We at the end of the show, brother, but I appreciate it, you know, and I hope somebody got something. One thing I will say, talking about business, if y'all guys follow my Dad Chronicle platform, go to www.dadchronicles.com. If you have a business, you want to advertise it, I got advertising spaces on there and stuff like that. But it's just a movement. If you have any kids that want to learn chess, and what people don't understand, it's not about learning chess. It's about learning to exercise your mind and recognizing all the different facets that comes from just embracing chess, man. But Hey,
Right.
good show, man. We got to get out of here. We got a show following us, man. So I just want to say thank you. Tell them how they can find you real quick, JD.
You can find me at on Facebook at JD's Man Cave. It's a page that we've developed, and also have another page on Facebook called Free Game.
Okay.
And you can check us there.
Absolutely.
And not only that, you can check us out on mygospelsoul.com/magazine.
All right. All right.
I'm sorry, it's mygospelsoulmagazine.com. I said it backwards. I'm sorry. But yes, mygospelsoulmagazine.com. And
all right, man. I hope they got it. If you didn't get it, you can go back and view the video, man. I hate it. I got to get out of here. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate you. Take care, LeVar. See you next time, brother.
Man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's the Reach Podcast Show. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.